Well, hello, everybody. Ken Johnson is here with you, and we're looking at the weather pattern as we head into this upcoming weekend and into next week. We're talking about the week of Valentine's Day. Weather pattern across a good part of the South has been very warm, almost like mid to late spring this week, with record-breaking highs throughout a good part of Texas. But as we head into the latter part of this week and the weekend, the weather pattern begins to change some. We've been seeing our air coming from the Pacific Ocean, at least for a good part of this week, while colder air has been locked up to the north. We're going to watch this area up here. We talked about this yesterday. Polar vortex is getting involved, and it's beginning to shift a little bit. And I believe starting this weekend, it's going to start sending some shots of cold air down to the south. So as we head into next week, and again, this is the week of Valentine's Day, several waves of cold air will be dropping south across a good part of the country here. At the same time, you got your northern branch of the jet stream. This is what the polar vortex is made up of, up this way, funneling the cold air down to the south. But you've also got this, what we call southern branch of the jet stream. This is your subtropical or your Pacific jet here. So the cold air funnels to the south, but you still got the moisture across the southern part of the country and a storm track down this way. This, to me, looks like it's going to spell trouble for somebody next week across the central, maybe southern part of the country here. I don't think this will be anything like what we saw on the Gulf Coast a couple of weeks ago, but some places could see some issues next week. So let's look at temperatures. Of course, up here, that's where your cold stuff is, and you can see the warmer stuff across all of the deep south here. We're going to put this in motion here. This is into Thursday and into Friday and even into Saturday here. Warm air all the way into Texas. But look at Sunday. Here comes one of those shots of chilly air. And it looks like as that chilly air gets here this time, it's probably going to hold on for a bit longer. So you kind of still have the same setup, just maybe a little bit of a shift. You got your warm air stuck here deep south and along the Gulf Coast. You go to the north, and you got the bitterly cold air up here across Canada and across the central and now northern part of the country. And the south is starting to get in on some of this. So there's your battle zone right in here across Texas, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana. North of it, north side of the battle zone, cold. South of it, warm. And it's this contrast, this battle zone, as I've been calling it, that leads to the storm track. And that also leads to perhaps precipitation in the form of rain and storms in the warm stuff, and perhaps wintry precipitation in the cold stuff. You can see I'm keeping this going into next week, and you can see how this cold air just keeps on going back and forth here. Maybe eventually, maybe late after Valentine's Day, it may try to warm back up some, but again, more cold air may try to drop in. So ups and downs in temperatures are going to continue, I think, for at least the next couple of weeks. So what you see isn't necessarily what you're going to get, although I do think that we're going to hold on to some colder temperatures, I think, for a while, at least next week. Now, as we look at the setup for wintry precipitation here, again, we'll watch where this battle zone eventually officially sets up. And that's where your storm track will be. North of it, you get a threat for some wintry precipitation. And as of right now, and of course, this is being recorded here on, what is this, Tuesday, February the 4th, which is my mother's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. Love you. And, at least the way it looks right now here is this pink area would be where there might be the best chances, perhaps, for some wintry precipitation. In the time frame, February 10th through maybe the 13th or 14th. I'm talking about central and northern Oklahoma into Kansas, Missouri, maybe northern Arkansas, and then over here into the Tennessee River Valley. But there's a chance that some of this could dip down further to the south, and it may even get down into North Texas. We'll just have to see how everything lines up. This is what the GFS computer model looks like. This is, again, on February the 4th, and things are going to undoubtedly change. One thing about our weather information, and, of course, a good example of that would be the weather that we have today in North Texas. Weather information was pretty warm today, exception of the NAM. The NAM is usually, it can or can be right. But, but weather information had us in the 70s today, and our highs today were in the 40s. So they do not handle what we call shallow Arctic air very well. They look at it, they look at the atmosphere and say, oh, it's not all that cold, but in reality it is. So that is something that is going to linger in my mind if we do get precipitation in here early next week, that there could be some threats for wintry precipitation further south than what this is showing here. This is next Monday. This shows rain, a good bit of rain, maybe some storms here Texas, and then you get up here into the colder air and some wintry stuff up here. But again, watch this area back in here too. I'm not sold that we won't see at least a little something. And then as we get into Tuesday, Wednesday, there's some wintry precipitation showing up here. Most of it looks light. This doesn't look like a crippling winter storm, but it is something to keep an eye on. Then it kind of goes away, and we'll see if we warm up late next week or perhaps the next weekend, or if we keep these waves of cold air dropping to the south. You know what the groundhog said the other day? 6 more long weeks of winter, and I do believe we're going to be dealing with some more cold weather off and on. Remember what I always say, though. February, and especially early to mid-March, you deal with these ups and down trends in temperatures. Cold one day, hot the next, and it's this contrast, it's this up and down battle that you have with temperatures here that leads to these winter storms and also can eventually lead to springtime severe weather. That is coming up on the horizon. We'll be here before you know it. Thanks again for watching my video here, and remember to like, follow, and subscribe to my page.